All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into something huge, a truth about design that could honestly change how you build products forever.
Okay, let's just start right here with this quote. When a product requires explanation, it is already broken. I mean, just let that sink in for a second, right? If you need a manual, if you need a tutorial, the design has already failed. It's that simple.
And yet, come on, we've all been there. We've all used products that are just confusing. They need those little pop-up hints. They make you feel kind of lost. So that really brings us to the big question we're tackling today. Why? Why do so many designs just fail? All right, let's get right into it. The whole thing, it really starts with this massive misunderstanding, something we're going to call the biggest design lie. So check this out. This really breaks it down. Our fantasy versus the cold, hard reality. On the left, you've got the lie. This is what we want to believe, that our users are rational. That they'll read our perfectly crafted instructions and follow the neat little path we laid out for them. But then, you look at the right side, and yeah, it's kind of a gut punch. The reality is, users are impatient, they're distracted, they're probably multitasking while they're using your product. They don't care about understanding your product, not really. They just want to solve their problem and get on with their day. And this right here, this is the consequence of that lie. The second a user has to pause, even for a split second, to think about what to do next, that's it. That's friction. And you got to understand, friction is the silent killer of user engagement. We're talking millions in lost conversions for businesses. It is the exact moment you lose. Okay, so if users aren't these, rational, curious explorers we imagine them to be, then what are they? Let's try to get inside their heads for a minute and see how they actually see the world you're building for them. Here's the truth of it. Users don't open your app because they want to explore. They open it because they have a problem and they want it gone. That's it. They want to finish a task with the absolute minimum amount of effort. They're looking for relief, not a bunch of options. They want clarity, not cleverness. I mean, sure, your little animation might be clever, but if it slows them down from solving their problem, it's just noise. It's getting in the way. And this leads to a really crucial shift in thinking. Your job isn't just about putting stuff on a screen. No, your real job is to control what the user's eye is drawn to first. Because look, if you can't control their attention, there is no way you can guide their behavior. I absolutely love this analogy. We as designers have to stop thinking of our user as a magazine reader, someone who's just leisurely flipping through, enjoying the journey, taking it all in. That is not your user. You need to start designing for someone who is in a massive hurry, someone who's trying to get in, fix their problem, and get out as fast as they possibly can. So, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If we just accept that our users are distracted, they're impatient, they're not really paying attention, then how on earth are we supposed to build something that actually works for them? Well, here's the good news. There's a secret. Even though they aren't paying close attention, the way they scan a screen is surprisingly predictable. It's almost like a secret code that tells you how they're going to see your design. So let's go ahead and decode those scan patterns. First up, we've got the F pattern. You'll see this all the time on pages with a lot of text, like a blog post or search results. So what happens is the user's eye scans horizontally across the top. Then it drops down and scans vertically along the left side. And finally, their gaze will kind of jut out again to the right to look at something interesting. You see it? It forms a rough F shape. All right, next up is the Z pattern. This one is more common on simpler pages, pages that aren't packed with text. So the eye just zips from left to right across the top, then it cuts diagonally down and across to the opposite corner, and then it sweeps across the bottom one more time. Boom, boom, boom. It basically hits the 4 key corners of your screen. And right here, this is the aha moment. This is what explains everything. Suddenly, all those standard design conventions make sense, right? Why is the navigation always at the top? Because that's the first place people look. Why do calls to action work best when they're in those key spots? Because that's where the eye naturally goes. And all that stuff you stuck in the middle or down in the bottom right corner? Yeah, it's probably getting completely ignored. See, these layouts aren't just random trends. They are a direct result of predictable human behavior. Okay, so now we know how users look at a screen. The next logical step is to understand the why. And this brings us to what might be the most important principle of all, designing for less thinking. The big idea here is something called cognitive load. Think of it like a mental budget. It's the total amount of brain power a user has to spend to complete a task. And your job, your only job, really, is to wage a relentless war on cognitive load. You have to reduce it at all costs.
This is a perfect example. Just look at the high-load checkout on the left. You've got multiple shipping options, you've got pop-ups for add-ons, promo banners with countdowns. It's a total mess of decisions. It's confusing. Now look at the low-load version on the right. So simple. Product, quantity, total. And one big, clear call to action. Pay now. There are zero distractions. It just guides the user to the only thing that matters. Remember this. Less thinking always leads to faster action.
So this all leads to another huge mental shift. You have to become absolutely ruthless. Every single thing on your screen, every button, every image, every line of text, it has to fight for its right to be there. Ask yourself, does this help the user make the one important decision on this page? If the answer is no, it's just noise. Get rid of it. Okay, let's wrap this all up with something super practical, a tool you can use before you even think about opening up Figma or any other program. We're calling this the Golden Pre-Design Rule.
Seriously, before you draw a single box, just stop and ask yourself these 3 simple questions. Number 1, what is the single primary decision the user needs to make on this screen? Just one. Number 2, knowing what we know about scan patterns, where are their eyes naturally going to go first? And number 3, and this one is the most important, what can I remove from this screen without breaking the path to that decision?
And let me be super clear about this. This way of thinking, it's so much more important than your technical skills in Figma or Sketch or whatever. This is about building a decision architecture mindset. You're not a screen decorator. You're an architect, building the clearest possible path for a distracted person to solve their problem. That is the heart of functional design.
And I want to leave you with this one last question. A question you should ask about every single thing you put on a screen. Just ask, if this element disappeared, would the user still know what to do? Think about it. If the answer is yes, then that element is just noise. It's clutter. Get rid of it. But if the answer is no, well then it's essential. That's your filter. And that's how you start building products that don't need an explanation. Products that just work.